I'm looking at I'm looking at you, Dusk. I want to hear you do a recap.
Okay, so last time on A Curse of Strahd, and there's the Undertaker music with the loud piano, and you see this roaring kind of like maybe a storm and this fog outside, and the team is withered out. They're trying to escape this place, but they can't. So the only thing they can do is get to the bottom of this thing, and they eventually fight those. They kill those. What's the name of the parents? The cultists. I forgot their name.
Gustav and Evelyn Durst.
And they make their way through the winding corridors into the main room, where they're surrounded by different kinds of and other forms of mummified things like fingers and the severed hands. And there was this room, a half-flooded room, with a barred iron gate, which they carefully maneuvered using a invisible servant. And as they entered the room, Jon went up to the diaspora, or the sacrificial altar, and it turned out that it awoken some phantasmal creatures, or rather projections of cultists, screaming and just asking for blood sacrifice. When the group refused, then of course a repulsive, gigantic shambling mound woke up from a putrid pile of garbage. The team, but luckily Balthazar was a former member of the Ostmark Ostriches, and with some nice rolls and also some very nice rolls from Jon's attacks, we were able to finally put it down. But not before the vile creature played possum and tried to, take advantage of our distraction.
All of this and more is true.
Yep. And after that, the house came alive, trying to kill us, desperately trying to prevent us from escaping. But we carefully maneuvered around the gnashing blades, although some of us in the team took some damage. And the poison clouds, before escaping this deadly house and setting it on fire, possibly ending the curse of the dead house.
All right. We specifically ended last session with the party fleeing the village of Barovia and heading back the way they came, down to the Ivlis River to wash themselves, camp, and rest after that harrowing experience. Just as a reminder, we also ended last session saying that guys, we're now level 4. And we also did last session saying that at the start of this session, you guys will have counted as taking a full rest. And so, it is the next full day, almost 24 hours after you reach the river itself, because you guys did get here in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
You awaken, begin to prepare yourselves for the day.
There were a couple of things that I wanted to do during the rest period.
Go ahead. Tell me all about
it. Firstly, being I wanted to identify the sword.
Sure. I assume you have some of your magically inclined companions help.
Yeah, I can roll Arcana.
Go for it.
Okay. Let's see. That's not too bad. But okay.
So we're talking about which sword? There were two. A short sword from the basement and the long sword from the mantle place.
Is there a short sword from the basement? When was that?
A while ago.
Who has the short sword?
I don't know. I'll tell you the description. Anyways, the long sword is a perfectly normal long sword. Although, Jon, it's as you're looking it over, there is something very strange. Pull it off the mantle place very well. The leather strap around the metal hilt, well oiled. That the wind was shining. You're looking at guys get back to camp. I like to imagine that when you guys first got to rest, recuperate, you're looking over the stuff, and this sword is so the rusted in places, is rotten, falling. The brass looks like it's been perhaps by burning. It's got like this suit covering it. It's very gross and also clearly very old.
Huh. Okay. Who has the short sword?
We'll say it's also you, because I don't think anyone else remembered it.
In that case, can we take a look at the short sword too?
Yeah, I'll roll that into the roll. It is a silver short sword. Ugh.
Sword shorts.
Yeah, thank you. So the blade is mostly steel, but the actual edge is entirely silver.
Interesting.
The hilt is very simple in design. The sword itself is fairly plain and simple in design. There is a tiny little inscription kind of carved into the crossguard, and it says, "For Evelyn."
For Evelyn. Okay. I guess I'll bring it to the group and I'll be like, it's the short swords. It has silver lining on it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone want it?
I'll take it.
Hand it over.
You're welcome to add a silvered short sword to your inventory. I'm going to lump all of the identification together because I'm lazy.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even going to make you guys roll for it. But as you go through the items recovered from the house, specifically the items from the chest, you find that the cloak is, in fact, a cloak of protection. You also discover that the potions, the mysterious red liquid with the strange crystalline chunks floating inside of it, is potion healing. So, maybe 4 potions, however many it said there were.
4 potions.
Yeah, there you go. 4 potions of healing. Cloak of protection. Everything else that you recovered from that chest was non-magical with the exception of the spell book, but it was also obviously a spell book. So no need to worry about identifying that.
Okay. How about the golden ring that I picked up?
It is a golden ring.
Cool.
What about the necklace?
Which necklace?
It had the topaz or something. It had like a yellow colored gemstone. It was from the room where we found the letter. I think it was necklace. Wasn't it a necklace?
Yeah. I completely forgot about that. Let me double check real quick. It's a normal necklace.
Okay, as long as I still have it. Yay!
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, if you guys are writing down loot and I don't remember it, I trust you guys.
Oh, okay.
what
In that
about
case,
what about like
I
the legendary
totally
sword we
found a
found?
ring of watermelon control.
Yeah. That +3 Vorpal Blade and the +5 Holy Avenger.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I
I'll
definitely
take
remember that being in Death House.
I'll take that
Mhm.
Avenger. Thank you.
All right, so you guys are as well rested as you can be. Jon, your wound has been cleansed in the river, probably packed with poultice, covered in bandages. The blood has been washed from your bodies, and you're feeling about as well as a group of 4 people can after the horrors you experienced within the Death House. So, I will turn it over to the 4 of you. What do you want to do, and how would you like to proceed?
Hmm.
So after a nice night's rest, or I guess we've been here for I'm moving my arm up and down, seeing that, and it's like, I can move it. It's fine. Like stand up, like sort of pat my butt, and I just should get going. Hello? Am I the only one here?
Sorry, I missed
Let's
half of that.
get
I just heard the get going.
Yeah. Really, that's about it. It's, I think we should head back to the village and see what's up.
Alright, so you see my character still has like the ponytail up, so you figure it is probably Fillipe. He still has that stern look on his face. So he nods to you and says, "Yeah, I guess sitting around here won't do much good anymore. Starts packing up and follow suit."
So, Philip, I'm curious.
What about?
Do you not trust your sister?
Hmm, that's a bit of a hard question, but it seems that she doesn't want to come out yet.
Hmm.
She could push me back anytime she wants,
Yeah.
but that's alright. I'll
Because
let her rest first.
I'm just thinking that perhaps you're a bit too protective. Maybe you should let her face the world, regardless of whether or not she's ready for it. We're all in this together,
That is
and
true.
she needs to grow. But that's not my place to say.
That's okay, man. I understand what you mean. Appreciate it.
hmm So I'm just sort of gathering up the stuff, camping gear, and packing up the food, etc., etc. I'm figuring everyone else is doing the same.
So, are we in a relative agreement then to head back to the village of Barovia?
Yes, I want to find an animal on the way.
Yeah, throw me a nature check as we move back towards the village.
Okay, where's nature? Oh god, that's horrible.
So, things in the village are not quite this time around. In the light of day, Barovia looks less like like a nightmare given form, and more like the sad, broken place that it is. Now, the empty windows of the many dilapidated houses that you pass on the street don't so much project an aura of terror or a feeling of being watched as they do of profound loneliness. Like, perhaps once this place was full of people and life, and now it's but a shadow, a ghost, if you will, of its former self. As you enter the village proper once again, I imagine probably Fillipe keeping an ear out for the ghastly moans and cries that were heard the other evening. But under the light of morning, dim as it is behind the constant cover of clouds, can't be heard. Things are relatively quiet in the village.
Is the woman still crying?
No,
No,
she's not.
it's quiet.
I suggest we look into the sky and see if there is any smoke coming from any chimneys.
Yeah, absolutely. Ignore the smoke on the map here, as it's definitely lying. Actually, no, it isn't. I'm just gonna say that it's absolutely true. All of the buildings you see with smoke coming out of their roofs, they're buildings with smoke coming out of theirs, with the exception of this one right here. We're gonna pretend just for a second that smoke is from the, smoking ruins left behind by the house you burned down the other evening.
Yep. So let's go to the town center, because that's where any kind of business and kind of inns would be, and let's see what we find on the way. I think that's a good idea.
I agree. If there's life or any population here, it'd be good to get some information. Maybe restock on some supplies.
Right. And as I walk, I'm gonna look towards the windows of the houses to see if people are peeking from the inside, like in every horror movie ever.
Yeah.
Every gothic horror movie.
Most definitely. So say this. The four of you, after a relatively short and uneventful walk down the main thoroughfare of the village of Barovia, find yourself in what you can only guess to be the town center. It's a large dirt plaza, essentially open, or you would guess maybe mercantile pursuits. There is a small well in the center of the clearing, but as it stands, the well is closed. There is a big stone circle that has been rolled over top of the opening of the well.
That's strange, right?
Looking around for genuine signs of life, two buildings of note stand out to you. Each of them has smoke coming from a rooftop chimney, and each of them has a sign, either hanging above the front door or near a window. The first, the building to your south, has a sign that reads, Bildroth's Mercantile. The sign over the door is wooden, and the only noise in the entire village center here is the soft creaking it makes as it is pushed back and forth by the wind. In the opposite direction, to your immediate north, is a larger building, a larger fireplace. Smoke is softly pouring out of it. There is a sign above itself. It's kind of askew, hanging precarious, a single nail proclaiming the building to be the blood on the vine.
I suggest we go to the mercantile. I mean, I have a fat sack of loot that I need to pawn.
Settle down. I suggest we check this place out.
It's up to you.
Oh, GM, before I forget, my passive perception is now 15. If you want to note that down somewhere.
I don't, but thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, so you guys are welcome to proceed as you will.
I mean, let's be honest. We're really heavy. We could sell some of this stuff, and yes, I have like 8 sets of silverware. I have a jeweled box, jewelry box. I have a hand crossbow, a light crossbow, and I think I gave the heavy crossbow to Jon.
Actually, Balthazar, let me get something real quick. When you go to check on that silverware this morning before you guys leave camp,
Yes.
all of it is tarnished. It looks ancient. The silver is corroded, falling apart. The plates are surprisingly brittle. I imagine one of the forks that you pull out actually snaps in your grip. This doesn't look anything like the pristine silverware you pulled out of that building a day ago.
That's a shame. I'll just drop those. Those are useless. What about this? What about the jewel box?
The jewel box is in a similar state. The wood is rotting. The silver is tarnished. And when you try to open the lid, the steel hinges snap.
Oh, and the jewelry inside is also just done for.
I think the only jewelry inside, what was in it? Remind me.
3 gold rings and the necklace.
Yeah. Then the rings are fine, and the necklace is fine. I think Fillipe has the necklace.
Yeah.
So that stuff's fine, but the silverware, the jewelry box, I'll even give you this. The letter that you found inside there, the one that the adventurer died clutching,
Yes.
even it is clearly weathered and decayed.
Is the chain shirt fine that I found? Because I'm wearing the chain shirt.
The chain shirt is fine, yes.
Okay, well there goes most
I would
of the
like
loot.
I would like to look at the playing card that I kept.
Do you now?
Yes, I would.
The playing card deck is perfectly fine.
DM, wait.
Someone hold on.
The
Go ahead.
deck is with Fillipe, Fiona. It's just that they all have their own card. The card that looks like them.
Yeah, I just have the one card with
I know.
me dying on it.
Yep.
I figured I'd throw in the full deck description here anyways.
Alright. It's okay.
Okay.
The whole deck then.
From the outside, the deck looks completely fine. Flipping the cards over, though, you note that all of the faces, all of the bodies of any of the people that you saw before, the noble-looking men and women that made up the kings and queens, the faces of Rose and Thorn on the jacks, and even the cards bearing your own faces and bodies, all of them have been replaced by figures.
By what figures?
Skeletal figures.
Including ourselves?
Yes, including yourselves.
I will be right back. Someone just rang at the door.
Go ahead. So, anything else?
Nope, that's the loot. Well, what's left of it, and he will still say that. Well, we still have gold rings and stuff. I think we can still pawn it off and get something. And I have been watching Jon and Kaylen fight with shields, and I think I can use one myself.
Maybe you can, Balthazar DeBaum. Maybe you can. So I will leave it up to you guys from here. You're welcome to proceed as you will.
Yeah, I vote for full-time shop, like a quick visit, and then we can go to the other place.
All right.
I vote investigating this blood place.
I will call it for the mercantile just for now, as far as the vote goes, because it seems 2-1 as it stands, and John's not here. So the four of you decide to investigate Bildroth's mercantile. So pushing your way past the creaks on old rusted hinges. As you step inside, you find the inside of the mercantile surprisingly dark. Those have a thick layer of soot covering them from the short, squat, open fire. Dust covers the window seals themselves. And the floor is falling apart. The wood is warped and creaks as you move across it. And perhaps most notably of all, the area immediately behind the counter is empty. There is a small brass bell sitting on the desk. Cobweb covers it, thick layer of dust. You can see hanging on the walls, sitting in little shelves, old, dusty equipment, clearly never used, of all shapes and varieties.
They have merchandise just lying around.
All kinds of it, actually. Like I said, there's stuff on the shelves all over the place.
But there is no one around.
There doesn't appear to be anyone around. There is a door on the far side of the room leading forward, but it's closed.
Was there there's no...
There most certainly was, and there is a small, currently smoldering away in the fireplace.
I'd like to yell out, hello? Is anyone around?
Just ring the bell.
Yeah, I walk up to the counter, slam the bell.
After a moment or so, you hear heavy footsteps the far side of the room. There is a jingling from the other side as though keys are being used. The door is opened. Underneath the doorway, he is big. And unlike, for instance, Butch, who wide, this man is just big. He's easily standing 7 feet tall, bristles with perhaps a apprentice based on the just sheer size of his arms and forearms. He has a baby face, though, and gentle eyes. And as he looks the four of you over, he says, "What you looking for?"
Greetings, fellows. Smith and Balthazar will actually introduce himself with a guild letter from the Smiths Guild, as well as the Alchemist Guild, the university letter, and say that, it's good to see a working blacksmith in a town after such a long journey. I am Balthazar, by the way.
There's no blacksmith here. This is, we sell things. The man comes across as very nervous. And as he kind of looks at the four of you, you can see he's kind of taking a half step backwards.
Oh, please don't be afraid. We're just here to barter, if that's fine with you.
Okay, let me go get my uncle. And he turns around and disappears behind that same doorway. And he's gone for about a minute.
I lean over and whisper to the group, he's a bit simple, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he was born that way.
Eventually, a man exits from the same door. He is not so big, standing at a not very imposing 5'5".
Dallas Reeves?
Yeah, he's clearly he's an older man, gray hair. His hairline has pushed back quite a bit, revealing most of a bald forehead. He's got small, shrunken eyes and a sharpness to his features that reminds you almost of a rat. He's wearing a shoddy gray suit, and one that you, Balthazar DeBaum, recognize as many years out of date in terms of style. And he looks at the four of you with obvious suspicion, but still manages to force a snaggletooth smile. Hello. Welcome to my store. Where are you, the four of you from? He starts to make his way behind the counter.
I'll, of course, say that, well, I am Balthazar DeBaum from the Alchemist Guild in Osmark.
The Alchemist Guild. He's a genuine alchemist. He is now behind the counter and he leans forward. That's remarkable. Very remarkable. And the rest of you? Where are the rest of you from?
Fillipe's gonna reply, we're just from Willoughby.
I
Yeah,
see.
he's not gonna detail like Balthazar. He thinks that they probably shouldn't give too much information. So he's just like, we're all from Willoughby. We came here yesterday. Were you around yesterday?
Was it? Don't tell me. You four burnt down the old Durst house, didn't you?
No, we didn't burn it down. It burned down itself. We didn't burn it down. We were searching for the Holy Grail, and things happen.
Holy Grail?
Yes, of course. You wander into the village of Barovia quite on accident, traveling from Osmark Willoughby, and you wander into town, and the first place you think to check is, of course, the Durst home. Nobles of Barovia.
Well,
yes.
To be correct, there was 2 children. Holy Grail might be in there, so we went in there searching for it, and sort of got ourselves trapped. You know how it is.
There's no need to hide what happened from me, friends. I think everyone by now in this village is well aware the nature of the old Durst home.
Who's hiding?
It's been there since I was a boy.
That's cute. Who's hiding anything?
Of course. I would valuable customers, liars, welcome, friends, to Bildroth's Mercantile. How can I service you? I have had in some time. And I would listen to you.
How much time exactly is some time?
Oh, a while. keep track of days in Barovia. The weather, balmy, 62. The sky,
Always never changes.
well, sometimes it changes.
Sometimes.
But
Like,
not very
for
often.
example, the
Now,
fog that was surrounding the village yesterday.
Oh, Barovia is always foggy, friends. Just
That
perhaps
kind of fog,
not
though.
always. So you caught on. Yes, it's not always quite that kind of foggy.
listen. Often would you say the weather changes?
Oh, I don't know. Once or twice a year, perhaps?
Yeah. Look, that seems pretty suspicious because, you know, in most towns the weather changes constantly
It does
because, you know,
seem.
it can't be the same weather.
I just like to think of this land as particularly blessed. The
Oh, yes.
mountains,
Blessed
the
indeed.
harshest of winter, the clouds, stay locked inside.
And what if it's the opposite? What if this land is not actually blessed, but cursed?
Wouldn't that?
Anyway, we don't these morbid things. Well, we are here to barter.
Of course. Welcome the chance to barter. I have to say, though, I am an old man fixed in my ways. While I am happy to service Tressel, I'm afraid my prices are quite fixed.
I'm sure they could be negotiated.
Nice fire alarm you've got going there, Dusk.
It was really rude. So, okay. If that's, I'll take out 3 gold rings, hand crossbow, a bunch of bow, and a studded leather armor, and say that I have a lot to barter.
I see.
One golden ring,
Give me a moment. And
as
he
well as a sack.
pulls out. He sets it on the counter. You see, fishes out a small pair of broken glasses, and he puts them on, and he examines each of the rings, looks over the crossbow and the bolts, looks over the arm. He turns, he smiles at the 4 of you, and he says, I appreciate you appropriating what you could, burning Durst household. It would be a shame if everything went up in smoke.
Oh, don't worry. Not everything is from the Durst house.
Everything was from the Durst household.
Not the armor.
I think for the lot of this, I would be willing to provide you with, say, 27 pieces and a handful of silver.
What about 37?
I'm afraid I can't do 37, but perhaps we could find some kind of trade. I've never been fond of gold and silver and copper. I like to deal in material goods.
Spoken. So do I. You wouldn't happen to have some nice armor and shields, maybe good weaponry. Show us what
I
you got.
am quite afraid that I do not carry such items. We have little need for armor or weapons here.
How about a map?
Say that again?
How about a map?
He looks at you confused and he says, a map?
Oi, a map of Barovia. We're strangers to the land, as you know, and it would be helpful if we had something to discern direction from.
For a second. Then he looks at you and he says, I don't know if I've ever even seen a map.
Oh. So tell me, what do you serve? What do you sell, good sir?
Well, why don't you tell me what you're interested in, and I'll tell
I
you
already
if we have
did.
it in stock.
But you said you don't carry them. So what do you carry?
Potion poultices.
No.
Magic.
I am no alchemist, no wizard, not one for the arcane arts. So, I'm afraid not. In goods, those things that professionals find useful in their travels.
Let's see.
So I'll give you guys a literal inventory. If you go and check the adventuring gears, the player's handbook, anything 25 gold pieces, technically, although the more expensive you go, the more likely it is to be in.
Well, I'm complete penniless.
I don't actually remember, but I will send you this. Give me 1 second.
Found it. It's 148.
Yeah.
See, there you go. What a good guy. So yeah, anything listed in there that is less than 25 gold pieces can legally be found here.
Okay.
To grab a blanket and give it to Fillipe.
Okay.
Oh, what is this about?
It's for you.
Yes, I remember now.
I'd rather not sleep in the cold. Maybe that's just my preference. I'd also like to grab a healer's kit.
Yeah, sure. Healer's kit. How much does that cost?
5 GP.
Okay, so you put the blanket and on the counter, and then you say the things that are necessary for a healer's kit. He says, yeah, I've got those in the back. He comes back and he sets it all before you, and then when you go to pay the standard price, he smiles and he says, no. You seem to be mistaken. I'm afraid it will cost quite a bit more than that. Here, give me but a moment. And he pulls out that little abacus of his, and he starts to plink away at it. Give me 1 second here. I think
So 2 healers
300,
because I need one as well.
I think 387 gold pieces, and perhaps a handful of costs satisfy me.
I will start packing all my things back and say that good day to you, sir.
Oh. Well, you are. I hope the 4 of you have a lovely stay here in the village of Barovia. And when you do find yourselves in need of something, my doors are always open.
Yeah.
I have a better time.
Yes.
I would like to sell the leather armor that I have. That okay? Before we leave.
you guys want to finish selling your stuff to them, you're more than welcome to. What did you want to sell them, Fiona?
Sorry, leather armor.
Yeah. I'll check real quick. He will give you 1 gold piece for that leather armor.
Hey.
To the stuff we have.
Better than
You
that.
can't carry it. I'll carry it for you. It's there's surely some bigger establishments in these lands that we could get a better price.
Oh, yes. I'm
Yes.
sure there is.
He's gonna pull back the leather armor. That's fine. I think I'm better off giving it to someone who needs his eyes and keeps the leather armor back.
How much for rations, sir?
Rations. Dried rations, travel rations, days rations. What kind are you looking for?
Just a day's rations.
And I assume you want them prepared for traveling. You lots seem to be the traveling types.
Oi.
12 gold pieces suffice for a day's worth of rations.
That's horrible. Don't buy it. I have 16 rations
Look.
left.
What about
Why
thieves'
do you
tools?
have so much rations?
We got. I mean, we start with like 10 rations, and we get like
Yeah,
we got something.
Wait.
And we only like.
All right. I have 6 rations still.
I haven't even
Oh no. Did we not use?
rations.
Yeah, well, we can do that from now on, but I also have not been, so I'm not going to like. Assistant on 12. And you'll find here in the village of Barovia.
Ask him about thieves' tools.
Are you asking him how much they cost or how much he would buy them for?
How much they cost?
Don't know anything about thieves' tools, so to speak. Knew a man who came through, talented locksmith. He left behind some of his precious belongings, a set of picks for working, broken locks, a chisel, a hammer, all the things you might need for repair, and, well, they are somewhat precious to me. Price of 625 gold pieces would suffice.
Would Kaylen know the average price of these tools?
It's like what, 10, 15?
No,
Just as a quick little reference. I don't know if any of you in your entire 625 gold pieces all in one place. Maybe
Well, I have.
maybe John here path. Maybe Balthazar has seen it in Noble's court. Certainly, you've never that much.
No.
Can I make an generally fucking suspicious?
For an insight roll at and a skeeve on all levels.
Hey, your prices are fairly high.
Well, in the village of Barovia, nay, the lands of Barovia, there are few people. People like you seem to be interested. What we have very little.
Aren't you ever get the one person mad and it's gonna be the end? Aren't you just ever scared of that?
He grins at you, and you can see that are gray. You can see between the gaps in his teeth his like long, thin tongue. He smiles and he says, "Everyone in the lands of Barovia fears they'll up among the missing or the dead."
Has this guy got fangs, by the way?
No, he does not. But he does say, "Unlike most people here, I have my lovely nephew, Perry Wimple, to look after me." Dings the
Oh,
bell on the table, and it's like a moment later when you guys hear the heavy footfalls, and the door is thrown open, and the big man from before steps through a small club in his hands, and he looks between the four of you, and then he looks over to his uncle, and he says, "Oh, what's wrong? What's happening?"
We're leaving.
And the man smiles at you, and then he smiles at Periwimple, and then he smiles back at you, and he says, "Oh, nothing. I just thought you might want to watch the transaction. The store will be yours one day."
hmm. Yeah, that's quite smart to learn. God damn it. I'm gonna whisper something to Fillipe.
Yeah?
I'm gonna whisper you into roll 20.
Alright. Okay.
If you are.
Philip's gonna raise an eyebrow. I forgot how to whisper,
I'm
right?
sorry.
So...
You just go type W and then type their roll 20 name.
\W
Yeah.
space
Okay.
their name on roll.
Look. Sorry, but this guy's triggering me.
Yeah.
I'm
by the
so
way,
sorry.
I believe he just says, you know, I thought we could make some sort of deal arrangement. Have a alchemist who also happens to be a blacksmith and sells goods. But I guess, you know, after your prices, I would say no.
Yes, well, here in the land, while an alchemist is surely worth his weight in gold, I doubt you'll find anyone who can pay it. Good day.
Oh,
to you.
we didn't want pay. We wanted reasonable prices and goods and reasonable fair exchange. But you don't seem to be that kind of person who is an honest merchant.
He just smiles at you and doesn't say anything.
Is my would I know if my touch of the darkness is reacting or anything like that?
I think here, this man is certainly a monster in the moral sense. Actually, I wouldn't even go monster level. This man is just pretty obviously the equivalent of a war profiteer. And while he is certainly a bad human being, a literal physical monster or creature of the darkness, he is not.
Okay. And this guy is basically Master Splinter, right?
If Master Splinter was like a dirtbag and not actually a rat, sure.
Okay. This guy's a piece of shit.
I look at Kaylen. I get the feeling that he's gonna do something.
Oh yeah.
And so
really fucking
yeah, and
pissed.
so Jon says, "All right. So what are we gonna do here? Are we on the warpath again? We're gonna burn this place down.
No, we're going to leave.
Do it.
We don't have the
do
right
it.
to burn this place down. He
Guys?
asked for a price, we disagreed.
Yeah, I think we need to chill.
Look. How about
Listen. You wanna you? I point at the big fella and I say, you wanna kill this scumbag and you wanna do it. Go ahead.
Holy
You-
shit.
Yeah. You want to burn this place down and loot it for everything you got? Do it. I ain't gonna stop you.
Apparently, Kaylen, you can
Listen.
be read like a book.
I can be what?
Read like a book.
uh, listen, this is a village where, by the looks of it, weird stuff happens. You know, wouldn't it just be him and his friend just disappeared?
Do it. I ain't gonna stop you.
I don't do anything. I'm just saying it'd be pretty weird if they. Don't you reckon? It'd be pretty weird, wouldn't it? I mean,
Just deathly silence.
Yeah,
as like Kaylen
I'm-
trying to
I'm
elbow
sta-
people. He's
I'm
like, wouldn't it be weird? Everyone's just trying not to make eye contact. You guys
I'm
are
standing
standing.
with my arms crossed.
Just
and I'm
giving like awkward looks.
Yeah, I'm standing. I'm like I look at him. A very neutral face.
Listen. Hear me out. Don't we all agree?
I've killed than this guy for
Exactly.
doing nothing more than standing in my path. Because that's just, if you want to kill him, go ahead.
I feel like we can take these guys.
Oh, don't get me wrong. That kind of life I left behind. If you want to do it, do it. I will not. I'm not going to stand in your way because that would make me a hypocrite.
Yes,
but I'm not going to help you.
Same. If you want to fight them, you fight on your own.
Okay. With just a question, Dan. With my predatory charm, is that unlimited? Like, can I just always do it, or is it like how many uses per day kind of thing?
What does it say?
Yeah.
Double check the ability and let me know.
Yeah, it doesn't say I have any. Yeah, cool. I want to use my predatory charm on Jon.
Ooh.
And then I want to
Well,
persuade him.
At least he's not using it on the little girl.
Same. Oh, Kaylen is actually James Gunn?
Yeah, man.
So click the button and throw it in the chat so I can read it over real quick because I do not allow actual full-on persuasion checks versus other characters. You gotta do that with roleplay, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see here.
But this is magical.
Beguile the mind of the creature. Okay, so just for reference, there is one portion here you may want to be careful of. By you and feels hostile toward you until the next dawn wears off.
Oh wow,
that's charmed.
Bad.
I mean, like,
now, this could be,
for this specific instance, I'm okay with letting it happen if he wants to charm me and roll for it. So, like, I'm okay with it happening if you want to do it. I will still make the save or whatever.
No save here. It's not. You can just do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're not immune. It's just it only lasts for an hour, and after that point, actively hostile. This is definitely the kind of ability that you use at a party if you want to any kind of unity that you have. But I will leave that to, as I trust you. You're all adults. You can make decisions.
And I'll also say that I'm okay with they want to do it.
Would I actively know that if I use this and once it ends, would I know if literally try and kill me or not?
I mean, you have your suspicions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's your ability.
I know.
You've probably used this on someone in the past, maybe on traveling towards Barovia itself. You did have a long journey to go, and I will say that the first time you did it, you were like, "Oh yeah, ultimate power! I can control the minds of others." And then the next day, when you like came back down into the tavern, and you were going to be big man on campus about having done this, you got down there and were greeted by the dude that you had charmed and his like 4 burly friends, and they were like, "Hey, what did you do to us?" And that is when you realize that this is a very temporary measure, and that people know it's been done to them.
Shit.
Most people don't seem fond of having their minds altered in any way.
Yeah. Trying to weigh out my options because Jon is generally hostile with me anyway. So
These
Jon
gosh darn prudes.
is fully neutral towards you. Jon realizes that you're kind of a dick, but you're also kind of useful.
Kaylen's a piece of shit, man.
Yeah.
I'm
hostile is like really hostile.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just scared of Jon wanting to kill me. So yeah, I'm just like, nah. Because I feel like in a fight, Jon probably could kill me.
I would also actually bet
no
on Jon right
comment
now, but okay.
No comment.
So it's all good. It's all
Again,
good.
Kaylen, if you want to fight them, you're welcome to fight.
I don't want to fight them alone. I'm not going to take on 2 guys by myself.
I would also like to note real quick, as you guys where maybe
I'd like to think that this is all just a prolonged period of silence as we're talking out of character.
Well, all right. So here's what I'm thinking. You guys are leaned up against the well. Kaylen's staring at the shop, clearly murderous intent in his eyes. Jon puts a hand on his shoulder and he's like, "I'm not going to stop you, but bad idea." And everyone else is looking away, not making any kind of eye contact or anything. I want to note, though, real quick, before anyone murders, they're literally the first 2 living human beings you guys have actually encountered since entering the lands of Barovia.
Embrace the murder
Are
hobo.
you guys that traumatized by encounter?
Hey, look,
Jon's used to it. To be a professional murder hobo, all right?
Also remember one thing. If you kill anyone in this town, angry mob with pitchforks after us.
I don't give a fuck. They deserve to die.
Yeah, but they haven't committed a crime yet.
They have. Piece of shit is a crime.
Their crime is being in our way when we wanted something.
Let's fuck them up.
I mean, why are you saying
let's
fuck him up? If you want to fuck him up, just go fuck him up. You're a tough paladin. Just go smite him.
Listen. Having 2 guys against me, I feel like both of them.
An old man and a simpleton.
Dude, that guy has got a fucking club and he's huge as fuck. I don't know what he can do to me.
Even before he's actually an ogre.
No comment.
Oh shit, it's Shrek. Fuck.
Look, anyway, I don't like them. I probably won't purchase anything from them, but I'm sure we can find some other traders. Maybe we can find the Vistani, and they engage in trade, and they seem to be nice people. We can just tell them that we met some other Vistani outside there.
Didn't you talk a bunch of shit about the Vistani, though?
What? No, we ended on pretty good terms.
No,
I gave them
They gave us food. They gave us a lot of wolfsbane and stuff. It only charged 1 gold, but they're good people. I think we should find the Vistani eventually and get out of this piece of shit's shop.
So, Jon's eyes soften as he looks at Kaylen, and he says, "Look, I understand the need, but why don't we sleep on it, eh? If you want to come back and kill these people, think it overnight. That's my suggestion.
Let's sleep on it. Yeah, let's sleep on it. I like that idea. Very smart idea.
So I nod and I step out of the shop.
I
Just
desperately
gonna
hope
follow.
that you guys did not have this whole conversation in the shop. I assumed you guys were sitting in like the square outside of it.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I had imagined the scene as Jon literally standing in front of these people, like saying, "Yeah, go ahead and kill them and rape them."
No, I would not have this conversation in front of him. I'm not that fucking stupid.
Okay.
Okay, I'm willing to accept the version of the scene. One of them is a lot more horrifying than the other.
Listen, man,
Very.
Jon's done some terrible shit in his back in the day.
Jon, given the state of the town, I don't think they need any more terror.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Terra would be just fine. This is the best town to do it in.
I mean, to be fair, as a party, we could probably raise this place to the ground, but anyway, let's move on.
All right. Once again, you guys find yourself standing in the square outside. Now, I will note, when you guys left Wilby, the weather was getting colder, but it was like late August, early September. So it's moving towards fall, but this time essentially. And here, like, we are very clearly already in fall. Not that the like non-evergreen trees around here have any leaves to be fallen, but like the cold wind and like the cold but not like freezing temperatures, the overcast sky, the dim light, barely piercing through the clouds overhead. It's all puts you in mind of like a dreary fall day.
All right, so I figure let's just gather some information and leave town. I still got some kids to save, in case y'all have forgotten.
Well, yeah, they're probably dead by now.
We forgot to ask
Thanks
them
for the
about
vote
the
of
crying
confidence.
lady.
I'm just saying, they're probably dead by now.
Maybe. We'll see eventually.
Either that or they're alive, but they're the ones trying to kill us.
We'll see. I want to head into the blood on the vine.
Sure. The four of you make your way past the closed up well, across the street, and towards the blood on the vine. Now that you're a little bit close, you can see the front door of this place is actually like off of its hinges. The door itself is sitting next to the open like entryway into this place, just leaned up against the wall. From here, you guys can see the like dim glow of what might be lanterns or fire inside, and even getting close, like you'd expect most taverns, it's still morning time, before noon, we'll say. Yeah, even this early, you would expect there to be like something happening in a tavern in a village of this size, but it is very quiet. So, the four of you step through the open doorway and find yourselves inside of the blood on the vine. This place clearly used to be pretty nice at one point. The building's rather large. The wood used in the construction of the walls is clearly pretty, strong. It's been painted at some point in the past. You would guess to be some shade of red, But it's also pretty clear now that you're inside and can see the interior has been painted the same color. Like that must have been a long time ago because it is warped and faded, and you can see the paint peeling from the walls. Whatever lovely shade of red it once was has turned into the kind of brownish rust color, reminiscent in many ways of dried blood. Inside of the tavern itself, there are a number of tables. The actual tavern floor is huge. 9, maybe 10 if you count the corner booth on the far side. Plenty of chairs for each one of them. A large fireplace runs along the entire back wall. Full bar, shelves upon shelves of glasses of all different varieties. This place looks like it really could be something. There's also a large stairs leading to some kind of upper floor, you would guess, towards maybe a bedroom of some kind. But as you're looking around now, this place is empty and dilapidated, falling apart. Many of the chairs are clearly rotten or broken. The tables, once stained wood, they've started to warp. Very few of them sit perfectly even. And even though this place could easily sit, potentially 50, 60 people, not even including wait staff and all of that, now you see but 4 men, a single woman. The place feels as empty as it looks. Behind the bar itself, an older, slightly overweight, balding man wearing an apron over rough spun cloth is mindlessly wiping away a series of glasses. In the far corner of the room, in the corner booth itself, sit 2 men and a woman who are eyeing you very suspiciously as you enter. I will even give all 4 of you, in fact, the obvious impression that when you see all of them at the same time, remove one of their hands from the table and reach them underneath the table, every single one of them is grabbing a weapon of some sort. And finally, sitting at the bar itself, looking pretty morose, staring downwards into a glass of wine, is a young man. Fillipe, you look at him and you recognize something about him. You've seen this guy before, but you're not exactly sure where.
Do I need to roll anything?
No.
Okay.
I will say though, you've seen this guy in the past. You're just not the memory coming to you.
Philip remembers that he's in body, so the fellow probably wouldn't recognize him, but since he looks familiar, well, could be friendly enough. He's gonna try to approach that fellow, but he's far in, right? At the bar.
Yeah, he's at the bar itself.
What is everyone else gonna do?
Look, I'm gonna feel how my touch of darkness is going.
You don't sense any real darkness from this place. Not the kind that you're looking for, anyways.
Okay.
I'm gonna head to the table of 4 while Fillipe is chatting up the bartender.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. Is it the bartender or the guy at the bar?
Guy at the bar.
So it's not
The guy that's
right?
currently he's the guy that's currently tending
Oh, okay.
to the bar.
He could be sitting
So-
at the bar. Okay. So, Philip's just gonna tell John that guy looks a bit familiar. I'm gonna try and chat him up.
Nods and like, yeah, just be careful.
So, we're going to deal with Fillipe first.
Mhm.
So, Fillipe, you make your way over to the man, blonde-haired youth, probably in his mid-20s. As you get a little bit closer, you can see, even though he's facing downwards from the side of his face, what's in profile, you can see that he's been crying. There are, his eyes are red. There are the clear stains from where the tears rolled down his cheeks. He seems, even now, kind of distraught.
Are there seats at the bar?
Yes, absolutely. There is a stool right next to him.
Alright, so he's gonna take the that is the young man, and he's just gonna wait to see the young man that notice that he's there.
The man doesn't actually notice Fillipe's down. What happens is he reaches for the glass and he kind of sits back. You can see he sniffs a little and then he raises the glass to his lips and takes a long drink. And as he's doing that, he kind of glances around for a second and he looks over and he sees Jon and the others approaching the table of three in the back. And it's like his eyes just kind of glance over it and then he looks back. Fillipe clearly sitting, and it's like his eyes glance over for a second, and then he kind of looks back, and then suddenly like his head whips over, and he like chokes on the wine in his mouth, and he looks at you shocked, and he says, "You're."
Chill there, man. Take your time.
Who are you? Who are you? What? Who are all of you? He says, kind of looking around at the four of you.
Just wave.
Just sit
Yeah,
down.
just calm down. We're just visitors in town. You live here, don't you?
Yes. My name is Ismark.
Ismark.
Give me 1 second here. There you go. Yeah, Ismark the Lesser.
Oh, I'm gonna make you more than
Look
that.
forward to meeting Ismark the Greater.
You're a little late.
Damn it!
I'm so sorry. Forgive me. You look like someone I knew.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
You're not from Barovia, are you? You're outsiders.
Yes, perhaps.
Tell me what brings you here? Up, and he looks up and he looks over at the bartender whose name definitely exists. Yes, he looks over and he says, "Ark, pour these kind souls a drink. I'll pay for it, of course." And the man looks up, and now you can see this guy, one eye. He's not wearing like a glass eye or an eye patch, though. There's clearly just like an empty socket. And he looks up, he looks at the four of you, and then he kind of grunts and he turns around and starts to pour only wine. Doesn't even ask for orders or anything. Just pours 4 glasses of wine and eventually sets them on itself and does not make any effort to get them over to you.
Well, wait, hang on. Right now, John is at another table. Dusk has followed the bar. Where is Kaylen?
Kaylen's with me, I'm pretty sure.
Murdering the shopkeeper.
It's like the question.
He's gone
where,
back.
Yeah, it's like the question where you.
In the
I was
background,
like,
we just hear
wait, where is that
the
guy?
screaming.
The one guy. Okay, so while he is pouring, while the bartender is pouring the wine, Philip's gonna wave one hand and say, "No wine for me." Just something like just.
The bartender stops pouring, and he like slowly turns his head, and he says, "Ain't got nothing but wine."
I'm a little girl. Do you want to get me drunk?
How
He
little
looks at
is
you
this
and
girl?
he looks at you and he squints with his one good eye, and he says, "What? It's not really for me to decide now, is it? Can't control what you drink. Just give it to you."
Alright, alright. Well, he shrugs. Fine, whatever. So he turns back to Ismark. Now that I hear the name Ismark, would trigger any.
Yeah, you do. You do. Philip, you distinctly remember an Ismark. You remember two Ismarks, in fact. You remember
Ismark the lesser and the greater.
you definitely you do remember Ismark. You're just trying to place exactly where you think that Ismark may have something to do, not necessarily directly with what happened to you and what happened here. And
So he's gonna turn to Ismark the lesser. I'm just gonna call him Ismark.
If Ismark the lesser
he
had a
hasn't.
son, would it be Ismark the
Yeah,
least?
Yes.
His name is Ismark, right?
Yeah, his name is just Ismark.
Okay. He's gonna turn to Ismark and he's gonna ask, "So, what's wrong here?"
It's
Downtrodden.
I made I made a bad decision, and I'm suffering the consequences for it now. And I am afraid my family is suffering for it as well.
Does that involve that nasty toxic gas and that wretched haunted house over there?
The Durst? No, everyone in the village knows not to. Wait, were you four the ones who burned the Durst estate down the other evening?
So interested.
Oh, would it make any difference, actually? I mean, a burnt house is a burnt house. Gone.
I would love to see that argument be made in court. It's like, well, does it matter who burned it down? It's still burnt down, you know?
I mean, let's not talk
No,
about burnt houses.
if it stays gone this time, someone, someone should reward the four of you.
Yes, we burned that house down.
Well, do you want to know what else we did inside the house? Just so you know, you can trust that it is us who down.
No, no one in this village would think to go there, except perhaps my sister.
Your sister?
That it has burned down. I should have known from the moment the four of you walked in. I had hoped, perhaps, that it had just burned down on its own. That place has menaced this village for years, and if the four of you burned it down, it truly stays gone this time, then you've done the village of Barovia a great service.
Well,
Are you saying that things has changed last night? There are things that changed.
Well, I guess we'll see. the house has been destroyed in the past, but it's come back.
Wait, DM, how was the fog around the town? Because I probably missed when you.
There was a light mist rolling over the ground
But it's not like yesterday.
when you guys first came in. No, you don't see any of that like strangely colored fog.
Alright, so he's gonna ask. You were around yesterday, right?
Uh,
Do you
yes, sure. What?
do you remember the suffocating fog?
You speak of the mists. Yes, a
Chokes you.
a terrible a terrible curse on our lands. I am afraid I don't know I can say much more than that.
Has it disappeared
Try
like
to
this before?
stay. Yes, it seems to come and go almost at random.
Another question though, if you don't mind me asking.
Please,
Do you remember
whatever you need.
I remember incessant crying from a woman in this part.
Yes,
remember that?
Mary. She cries every night. She's cried since her daughter left.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of a
Is
person was Mary?
she still alive?
She was always a nervous, skittish, terrified of her own shadow, and perhaps in lands like these, rightfully so. When her daughter left without saying a word, it broke her spirit, broke her mind. Tell me, before we say any more, what brings the four of you here? You, just please, what brings you here? And he takes a long drink from his glass.
We can show him the letter we found in the rotted, like the bloody tree.
Okay.
Do you show him that letter?
So Philip's gonna look at Dusk, trying to like see what should we tell this fellow, and Dusk is gonna answer about the letter. So he nods and he got the letter and goes to his part. This,
Hey,
this
you
person-
are you passed to this town? Are you like related to the mayor or the burgomaster?
So he looks through the letter while you're saying that to him, and he says, "Hey, Burgomaster, was my. Where did you find this letter?
You don't want to know.
Did-
and I'll leave it at that.
Did this letter make it to the outside then? Was it successfully delivered? Where's Thomas?"
I will say no.
Yeah, we
And
found it
as
when
for
we-
Thomas, it's best you forget him.
Was he your friend?
Yes, of sorts. You didn't receive the letter then. You simply found it. You're not the man Father called for then.
And Thomas is unfortunately no more.
Yes, it would be good for you
I
to keep
see.
him in your prayer.
He looks at the two of you, and he like wipes at his eyes, and you can see he's struggling to speak, and he rubs at his throat. And he says, "Well, that."
I'm just gonna put a hand on his shoulder and sort of like give him a pat. Like a very guy pat, but it's from a girl.
Okay.
It's fine. Thomas was a really brave person to have, he had a lot of guts to actually go outside.
He had a lot
into
of
the fog.
guts. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
because
he
that's
did.
the only thing that's remaining.
He had many organs and a lot of blood. Um, Ismark looks at you, Fillipe, kind of strangely, because like the guy's head is very weird, but
Yeah,
he
he probably
yes.
feels like he has felt it before, like, but he's like, this is not.
Yeah, okay. I like that. He looks at you kind of strangely and he says, "Thank you, stranger. Comfort is hard to find in a place like this."
Well,
I
out of character, that's interesting. You never asked for name.
Yeah, he didn't ask any of your names. Interestingly enough.
Yeah, like, not gonna say anything.
We had a rather warm welcome. After that Durst house, we went to this shop over there, and I have to say that the person who owns that shop is a liar and a cheat.
Philip's gonna laugh a bit.
Bildrath is a cheat. You're very right. Um, I asked before. What brings you to Barovia?
Well, we all have our own personal reasons, but it could fate, it could be something else. But since we found this letter, it might have something to do why we're here. I was thinking of checking it out.
Let's just say whatever our it might have us cross paths with the and the cold wind blows and say Strahd Zarovich.
Ah,
When you say no, absolutely. When you say that, when you speak the name aloud, a cold wind physically blows through the building, and like the fire splutters, and all of the men sitting in the corner, the two men and the woman, they look up and their like eyes dart over to you, right? And outside, you hear the cry of a wolf.
oh! Philip's gonna
And
like
there's like
stare at
the
Dusk,
organ piano sound like da 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 da.
like Philip's gonna stare at Balthazar like, do you have to say that name out loud? I don't think you should say that name out loud.
Tis not a name that should be taken lightly, stranger. And he looks like he eyes the. You can see pretty clearly now they are Vistani. He eyes them in the corner, and then he eyes the bartender who is eyeing singular the four of you with suspicion. You seek the Lord of this realm. That's terrible, but perhaps some good can come of it. I am desperately in need of help. I will come right out and say it. I don't know what to do or where to turn, and I had feared for the worst, and I can hope that perhaps the four of you are the answer to my prayer. Please, I need your help.
Go on.
He quiets down for a second, so he's contemplating how much to say, and then he leans in close and he says, "This is not the place to discuss things. There are many ears in this land, and many whispering voices."
And Balthazar will lean down and say, "We are really famished. Perhaps we can talk this over dinner."
Yes, of course, he says a little more loudly. You should accompany me back to my home. We can discuss things more privately there. And I can introduce the four of you to my sister. I only wish you four of you had made it here a few days earlier. Uh, Perhaps you could have met my father.
What happened to him?
Again, he shoots like a nervous glance over to the Vistani in the corner, who at this point are like they're no longer eyeing you guys suspiciously. They're just smiling at the four of you. Says,
And why are you looking at the Vistani like that?
do you say that out loud?
Yes.
Oh well, you know they. You see, Alinka, Sylvia, and Mirabelle own this place. They're lovely people, but they understand that there is a time and place for certain kinds of discussions, and I would guess that they don't want us scaring away any of their customers with such serious talk. Is that right, Alinka? And the woman, she smiles at the four of you, and she looks around the completely empty bar room besides, the people currently involved in this discussion. And she looks at you directly, Fillipe, and she says, "Oh, yeah. It would be terrible if we were to scare off any of the other paying customers. Perhaps it is best if you were to go."
Perhaps. Before we go, though, I would like to excuse me for a while. Look at the Vistanian, and I'll take out some of the wolfsbane and say that I met one of your elders before we came here.
Did you now? Which one did you meet?
What was his name again?
I'm slipping into the wrong accent.
Bond.
This is gonna be a
Yeah, I was
struggle.
gonna say, like, they're sounding rather cockney right now.
Yeah.
I'm
What's his
getting
name?
him-
Vladimir
I'm
or
getting-
something?
Don't worry about it. The guy's name, I don't remember. You tell me.
Which one?
Oh,
It was
Vistani elder.
Chieftain pissing into the wind.
No,
No, I think
no,
it's
know
I think it's a
that's
Piotr. I
definitely
think it's a
wrong.
Piotr or something like
I'm
that.
pretty sure it was Dave.
I did not have.
It was Dave. I'm fairly sure it was Dave.
I
Okay,
only
give
have
me
the
one
name
second.
Gilligan Glitter one. That's not it.
Gilligan Glitterhorn was a fantastic man, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely wasn't an utter fucking scumbag.
Mhm.
Give me 1 second as I try and find this guy's name.
In the meanwhile, while that entire conversation's happening, I would imagine that Jon and Kaylen are talking to the other Vistani.
And you suddenly hear about the Strahd name.
Yeah, no, like we're in the middle of a discussion, and all of a sudden, like there's just a coincidental dead silence, and in the silence, just Strahd, and then it's like, oh, okay.
Everyone, it just kills the conversation. So the guy's name was Stanimir.
Stanimir. Yes.
Hanami.
I met your elder Stanimir.
Oh, you met you met Stan. That is interesting. I had heard he and his brothers and sisters were leaving through the gates. I did not expect to meet anyone coming this way through them.
Yes, and I'll have you know that they have made it out safely.
That is very good to hear. Did Stanimir say that you should come here?
No, they did not. He did not, but we came nonetheless.
Yeah,
But he
in
did
fact-
say that if I were to meet any more Vistani, then to inquire about Lady Eva.
Yes. Madame Eva. You should visit her. outsiders from the lands often find the company of Vistani more pleasant than the dour folks native here. The woman looks over at Ismark, who's still like wiping tears out of his eyes, and then looks over to the bartender. She smiles and she says, I like to think I keep all of the best company in the village right here in the bar with me.
Good.
Well,
Perhaps
clearly
you can
you've
give us
never had a
directions
drink with me.
to Madame Eva then.
Say that one more time, Dusk.
Like he was asking for like directions to Madame Eva.
Oh, God. I'll tell you what, they give you the directions, but I will give you the directions after the session.
All right.
Because
Fair enough.
I have to dig them out.
So how far is it? Oh, but yeah.
I mean, we're first going to Ismark's house.
All right. I guess we could meet
I
her
will.
later on.
Yeah. I'll say this. Let me double check something real quick, and then I will give you an exact answer because I think I actually have it pulled up. Wait. Is it here? Is it this right here? Yeah, there we go. All right. So, where is it at? Yeah, so they tell you that not too far from the village, if you follow the road, near where the river bends, there is a permanent encampment. It is called the Zer encampment, and it is there, the largest tent of all, that you will find Madame Eva.
Fair enough. Thank you for your advice.
Of course.
And I'll look at Ismark and Senegay. Lord Ismark, please lead the way.
Hang on. Balthazar. Shouldn't we
What do you want?
wait for our friends first? He gets just to
Hey.
Jon and Kaylen.
Oh, where are they? They're still here, right?
Yeah, they're just over there. They
No, we've gone off to kill those the shopkeeper. No. Yeah, we're I would imagine we're just having a drink over by the other Vistani.
Yeah, I assumed you guys were talking to them before this conversation happened.
Yeah.
And I will add that they gave you. I don't think we need to.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
All right, cool.
They give you pleasant, normal conversation. I imagine Jon probably mentions that you guys passed through the Vistani camp. They essentially only ask the questions of Balthazar to like double check you guys. But they gave you basically the same information that you should probably go see Madame Eva. And also, Jon, I will give you this.
Mm-hmm.
They say when you inquire about the children, right?
Yep.
Specifically,
I would inquire about like specifically where the wolf then might like have their den or whatever.
That's what caused like the silence, because when you said that out loud, they got real quiet. They looked at each other nervously, and then before you guys leave, Aneka grabs your arm and spins you around. She looks at you real hard. She puts it on your shoulder, and she says, "Forget the children. It is for the best, for your own sake."
Madam, I'm an old fool. I have really nothing more to live for than to see the safety of the legacy of the next generation be carried on.
Well, at least you know you are a fool.
I give her my widest shit-eating grin, and I say, I like to think that that's my best quality.
Alrighty then. So, you guys set out behind Ismark. As you pass this way, you're like, when this from the top floor, you hear a scream and then a sudden shuddering sob, and then the same crying wails you heard from the night before.
What was
And
that?
as
What was
they
that?
have, Ismark turns to you guys and he just shakes his head and he says, Mary's house. She's best left alone.
Are you sure? That sounds really painful.
She's been like this now for days, and I'm afraid unless the four of you know her daughter and can convince her to come back to this village to stay, then there is no use in trying to speak with her.
I'm sure I could.
Where is the daughter?
Put the fear of God into her, Kaylen says, cracking his knuckles.
Where is her daughter? Where has she gone to?
No one knows. She left the village a few weeks ago and never returned.
Mary was.
Can you tell me what she looks
Can't
like?
necessarily blame her.
What was the daughter's name?
Give me 1 second and I'll let you know.
Hey.
Her name was Gertruda.
Gertruda.
Dark hair, pale skin, green eyes. Pretty enough girl. Looks an awful lot like Mary herself did when she was younger.
How old is she?
It's a good question. Find out. She was in her teens, late teens.
I sort of grunt at that. Oh, I can't stand the heartbreak. It's always, well, it's quite the experience, let me tell you that.
I don't like the sound of it either.
John makes a note to see if he can find out more about Gertruda.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
Fillipe's gonna follow, and Fillipe's gonna take Ismark's word and leave the lady alone, because if the village people has not been able to do anything about it, I don't think they could.
So, you guys find yourself standing before a large building, perhaps the largest home in the entire village, at the dead end of the street. Looking mansion squats behind a rusting iron fence. The iron gates are twisted, torn. The right gate lies cast aside, while the left swings lazily in the wind. The stuttering squeal and clang of the gate repeats with mindless precision. Weeds choke the grounds and press with menace upon the house itself. Yet against the walls, the growth has been tramped down to create a path all about the domain. Heavy claw markings have stripped the once beautiful finish off the walls. Tell of the fires that have assailed the mansion. Not a pane nor a shard of glass stands in any of the windows, and all of the windows are barred with planks, each one marked with stains of evil omen.
Christ, it looks like there was a siege in here or something.
There was. And with that, Ismark to the front door. He knocks once, and there is a knock from the other side. And then he knocks twice. There are two knocks from the other side. And then he bangs 3 times. And at that, the door is open. Standing on the other side of the doorway, Fillipe.
Mm-hmm.
It's a woman you instantly recognize. I am going to say this. Fiona, you are immediately back in control of your body. Fillipe has fled.
Fiona is blinking. She looks at Jon. She looks at Kaylen,
Mhm.
Dusk, and she looks in front. Like, how does this lady look like?
This young woman, striking young woman is how the book actually describes her, so we'll go with that. The striking young
A
woman.
monk. Wow.
Yeah.
Fiona's
She's
gonna raise her hand and say, "Hello."
Yes, striking young brown hair, pale skin, ruby red lips. She looks at the four concern, her blue eyes glowing even in the overcast light. She looks between the four of you and then to her brother. She says, "Are these the men that father sent for?" Ismark shakes his head to the negatory and responds, "No, I believe they might help." And as she looks at the four of you, she stops and she gives like to, and then she turns to and she whispers something in his ear, and he them, and then he looks at her and he whispers something back, and she shakes her head, and she's clearly very upset. But she sighs and she looks to the four of you and says, "Please come in. The home of the Burgomaster is open to you." And she steps aside and invites the four of you to step through the doorway.
I'm gonna be the last one in the door.
Then Fiona's
Kinda
gonna be
think
the
you would-
second last one.
PTSD.
Enter, she's
All
gonna
right, I
ask-
guess Jon always enters first.
Yeah, our tag.
Jon?
Save us from what's in the house.
Yep.
Passive perception 15. Reminder.
It might
Yeah.
be
So actually, that's exactly what I was going to say here is, Jon, as you pass by and you look over, something you note is that the trampled path around the house itself, the claw marks and the footprints on the ground, they all look like those of a wolf's. Some of them are very clearly too large for a normal wolf.
Do they look like the same kind of claw marks that were in the in Willoughby when the wolves attacked then?
Oh, yes. And I will go one step further and say they look an awful lot like the claw marks that, erased all of the smiley faces Fiona put on those trees way back when.
Mm-hmm. So, like, stepping through the door, I say, "Do you have a problem with wolves around these parts?"
You don't know the half of it.
Oh, believe me, son, I do.
Wait, who answered actually?
Well, he said son, so I guess Ismark did.
Okay.
That works for me.
All right.
As you guys step inside, you can see that the interior of the mansion is well furnished, yet the fixtures show signs of great wear. Noticeable oddities are the boarded up windows, the presence of holy symbols in every room, on every wall, and on every available surface.
Yeah. Disgusting.
And perhaps most notably, sitting in the of the main room, just this big kind of grand living area, high-backed love seats around what used to be a table, which you can see has been pushed out of the way and up against the far wall. There are pictures hanging where there are not various holy symbols hanging. Sitting in the dead center of this room is a wooden casket. As the four of you enter, Irina shuts the door behind you, and you can see locks the top bar, and then she locks the middle bar, she locks the bottom bar, and then she chains it, and then she padlocks the chain, and then finally, just as a little added precaution, she takes a chair and shoves it up underneath the door handle. Wipes her hands on her shirt. She turns to face the five of you, including Ismark. He says, "Please, sit. No one else is going to."
The Prikolishi, they attacked this place. Why?
Prika, what? Werewolves did this.
He's been saying that word a lot lately. I think he's mad.
Yes.
It is a pretty
Yes.
odd name.
Werewolves, Prikolishi, same thing.
Ricolichi. Like, it doesn't even sound scary.
No, it doesn't. Sound like a child's toy.
Irina gives you guys some very strange looks. She says, "Been spending too much time with the Vistani, I can see. Ismark, why did you bring the four of them here? I thought we were done with outside help."
Because we burned down the Durst mansion?
And then, yeah, absolutely. That is what Ismark says. He says, "No, listen. These four, they went into the Durst household. They're the ones who burned it down the other night." And she scoffs. And she says, "The last group also burned it down. And you saw what happened then. You saw it with your own eyes. We both did."
And what happened?
She turns and she glares at you, Balthazar. She says, "Everyone died, except for me and Ismark. And even worse, we brought his attention here. And..."
Oh, you mean, and he just about to speak when the cold winds come and just, okay, yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
He who shall not be named.
Strahd, and you can feel the cold wind picking up, and you can hear, like, just outside the doorway, like, the wolf is, like, leaning up against it. He's got his ear against the door.
I understand you. So he sent the elves to, maul this place to shreds.
He didn't just send werewolves. He's been here himself.
What?
Oh.
She's wearing a kind of like a high-necked sweater type garment underneath the armor that she's wearing, and she is, like, as you can see in the picture there, she is actually wearing like a breastplate. She has a sword on her hip. She is girded for battle, and she pulls the neck back a little bit, and you can see very clearly on her neck two rather large, like, wounds. They are open, but they do not bleed. The area around them is like a sickly black color. She points to them and says, "I know he's been here. I don't remember him being here, but I know he's been here, and I know he killed our father."
Look, it's okay. You do not have to show your neck. I don't want to see your king fetishes.
Yeah. I sort of laugh. He's like, "Hey, she's got a couple of hookies right there."
Fiona's gonna shoot a glare to Dusk, to Balthazar before she realizes it. And then she's like feeling all like, "What? I don't get the joke. Why am I angry?"
But wait a minute. Are those bat fangs, Marks?
I don't know. Have you ever seen a bat large enough? Someone like this?
I may have.
I have seen a lot of weird things in my life. Let me have a look at that. And
Look,
Actually, yeah, most definitely, someone here definitely recognizes
Yeah.
marks like that.
Mhm.
I
Here,
might have seen about that size.
has seen a bat that size, has also definitely seen marks exactly like that in the past.
Yeah, I know what that is.
and what is that?
Um, DM, would I want to disclose that information to the group?
Do you
For me to
want to?
decide.
It's up to you.
I kinda do, but I kinda don't.
How
I'm
do
just
you
gonna
look like?
say that
Wait, how do you
it's
look like right now? Do you look like you're like thinking too hard about something? Then Fiona might like poke at you and like ask something wrong.
I look like as soon as I notice that, I start shitting bricks because I know exactly what that is.
Okay.
Let's
Fiona's
just
gonna look
let's just
worriedly at Kaylen and say, are you okay? Gonna like sort of like
yeah,
tap your
I'm
arm.
fine. I'm fine, Fiona. Thank you. Let's just say it's something very unholy. Something like the Pricolici that this man says, but they are a lot smarter than the Pricolici.
So they're smart werewolves. That's what you're saying.
No,
The smart wolfmen.
they are very much not werewolves.
Is it
And
the spirit
speaks-
you keep trying to talk to?
I take great offense that you call them werewolves.
Ismark takes the moment to speak up and he says, he speaks of the vampire.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, a vampire.
Let me take it anyway, though. Could be infected. And yes, Balthazar is a kind of a doctor, so he will lean in closer, pull up a magnifying glass, and see what the hell.
I can
need you
assist
to
with
make
that check if you'd like.
Yeah.
I am also trained in the medicines.
By the
Start with
way,
a medicine check and then follow it up with a religion check. What's up, Fiona?
yeah. By the way, when Ismark says vampire, Fiona's gonna remember something. She's gonna take out the letter, looks at it, and then she's gonna point to Irina and says, "Oh, you're Irina. You have a vampire
Uh,
bite."
yeah.
Does anybody have Does anybody have a religion? I have religion, but I could use it.
I think I
I do.
would have religion. I
Oh
do.
no.
I do, but I have a plot. So
I
I
do.
can try.
You guys are welcome. So whoever has the highest, go ahead and roll
Oh,
with
that's
advantage.
sweet.
And
That is the same.
give me 1 second. I gotta pull this up.
You need a plague doctor mask. I swear to God.
So, Balthazar, you are examining the wounds with John's help. I assume at this point you guys have actually moved in to fill out the house.
Yeah.
You guys are sitting on
Yep.
one of the back love seats. The rest of you have kind of, standing around looking at stuff. Ismark is preparing like tea for everyone. And as you look over the wounds, you can see two things of extreme note, Balthazar. Things that just like stand out to you immediately. One, the flesh immediately around the bite marks has necrotized. It's dead. It's cold to the touch. No blood flows directly to the wounds. And it's very strange because like the flesh should be rotting. This is the precursor to gangrene, straight up. And yet, as you examine it, you notice no signs of decay. The girl is still very much alive. You can feel her pulse. She is like her heart's beating. She's warm, except for right there. We'll also note that these wounds are very deep. like you're examining them, and they taper to an extremely thin point. You can't get all the way down, but you measure them to probably reach all the way to, from the very side of her neck all the way through, kind of digging all the way to her, like, what's the name of the major artery in the neck, guys?
The carotid artery. The carotid artery.
Yeah, there you go. That one. Definitely that one.
No,
Yes.
not the carotid. Sorry, the jugular.
Sure.
That makes sense. Yeah.
All the good ones. Yeah, definitely the important one there.
The medicine stuff.
Yeah, the neck vein, as they call it medically.
Mm-hmm. The
The
jugular.
neck vein.
This is most fascinating. The tissue around you is dying, but it's been mortified, like frozen in time, and it's your jugular has been punctured. You should be bleeding to death, but you're not.
As you say this, as you're saying this out loud, she pulls away from you and she covers her neck up again. She says, "I thought you were looking to see if you could give me some kind of cure. I don't need to be." She swallows hard when you say that and kind of like rubs her neck.
Dear.
Madam, I have to say, if you need a cure, you need an accurate diagnosis first.
When she pulls away, I want to use my touch of darkness.
Oh, you can sense that darkness has been here. She has an incredibly dark aura hanging over her. Actually, now that you're reaching out to like sense for it, it is overwhelming, the sense of this evil presence.
Yeah. Would
And
I know exactly what that means?
Yes, you would. You can see very clearly. Level. This woman has.
I thought as much. I'm gonna walk over to Balthazar, and I'm gonna be like, "Hey, Balthazar, can you? Here's what. I'm gonna suggest something to you, Balthazar, and can you cooperate with me on this?
What?
How about we work as a team? You do the examining, I'll do the talking. Please."
I
sort of laugh at that. It's like you seem awfully insistent on doing all the talking for one so kill happy.
I'm very good at talking to people.
I'm sure you are.
I'm not saying you're bad at talking to people, Balthazar, but she does seem a bit. As soon as you started examining her, she did seem a bit standoffish. So I'm hoping if I talk to her, then she'll be a bit more welcoming. If you understand what I mean.
Maybe it's because you guys are overwhelming.
I sort of laugh and I'm like, go on. I'd like to see you try and seduce this nice lady.
I can. So I'm gonna, using the full touch of darkness, I'm just gonna welcome her and sort of bring it forward and sort of let her know why I'm being so welcoming, if you catch my drift.
Is there any signs when you do this?
No.
No.
It's an aura thing.
So she herself has no touch of darkness.
Ooh.
It's just like a mark on her. And when you do that, as opposed to like opening your dark aura up to her, what happens is that almost instantly that dark presence around her reacts to your presence as you kind of open yourself up to it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can feel something looking at you through it.
Ooh.
There's a sudden sensation, overwhelming, that you are being stared at and judged.
Ooh, okay.
On for about maybe 30 seconds. The rest of you can see it too. Not the presence and not, you can't feel a thing, but you can see Kaylen kind of like steps forward and he gets ready to say something and he just kind of freezes in place.
Wow. Now that is a ladies' man right there. He definitely knows how to seduce women.
Can I insight Kaylen to see, like, what is he doing?
No,
Kaylen,
no.
you're creeping.
You can see there's nothing going on there. Kaylen has no expression at all.
Kaylen, are you
Kaylen,
okay? You're acting weird again. It's
Whatever
very
this
been an
present
hour.
Again,
is,
when is he not acting weird?
whatever this presence is, and whatever it's doing to you right now,
Yeah.
it is not bad. You feel welcome for the first time
Okay.
since your return. And after a few moments, you are essentially returned to normal, and the presence, the mark remains, but the overwhelming presence in the house and around her is gone. And instead,
So,
you hear very gently a whisper in the back of your mind, welcome home.
okay. So let me get this straight. She's been claimed, but she's not one? Question.
Yes, she has been claimed. She has a mark on her. You can see it. It's a supernatural thing. It doesn't have like a physical description or anything like that. It's more of a sense. You know that something of incredible power has essentially claimed her as its own.
So, like, sort of claim her as in, like, my sort of claim, or?
Hard to say. It's a very general thing. It's like hard ownership on every level.
Right, so I'm thinking more of a spiritual ownership than like a
Strahd the
spiritual.
misogynist.
Okay, so I'm gonna sort of pull back my darkness and just be like, hey, talk to me. Do you remember anything about that night that you got this mark? Do you remember anything? Talk to me. I'm not here to scare you. I'm not here to, have you pull away like you did with my friend Balthazar. I'm just here to help you. I'm a helpful person.
I'll tell you what. She can't remember it. It's, if you use your predatory gaze,
So,
I will not give it its normal effects. We will go in the opposite direction, which is essentially that you are going to use it as a form of hypnosis
ooh.
and walk through her memories of that evening.
So she would.
No. And she also can't you doing it, although it's going to be obvious.
Okay. I'm gonna look about. Do me one little favor, but please don't ask me why.
We seem to always do you a lot of one little favors which you don't want
I'll
to
repay
answer
it.
why to.
Trust me, when we get to Strahd, I'll repay it back.
It seems like quite a long ways away. Why
could
don't
try
you just
and
be a
talk
little
her
bit more
into it.
open with the group?
Yeah, you could try and talk her into doing this as opposed to like you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I would my own ability. I would definitely do.
So give me a equation real quick and tell me how you try and convince her that doing
Well,
this is a good idea.
I'm gonna look at her and say, hey, look, since you can't remember it, maybe I can help you remember it. Well, not help you remember it, but maybe I can help you figure out what happened that night. You understand me? I'm here to help you.
That's pretty good. She looks at you and she says, I suppose it's better than not remembering at all.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have to do?
You just have to open up to me and, like, look, I'm not trying to creep you out, but I'm a very spiritual person. If you just have to spiritually and physically open up to me and
Hey man,
invite
you
me,
just gotta like arrange the feng shui, you gotta just get the good vibes going on,
I'm not a monk.
You know the yoga teacher who rubs your shoulders the wrong way.
No.
I need you to enter the warrior position.
In your best Transylvania accent, can I get you to say, look into my eyes?
Look into my eyes.
Okay. Yeah, okay. That does it. I'm good. 100% behind that. So, Kaylen, you stare deeply into Marina's eyes. The rest of the party and her brother watch on. Slowly, the woman begins to sway ever so slightly as though losing control of her own body. She slumps into the chair, her eyes still fixed on yours. And Kaylen, slowly asking questions, you bring her back and have her walk you through the night for attack.
Mm-hmm.
And so our camera pans away, and instead we find ourselves a few days ago. Irina has been crying. We can see her face stained with tears. Her father stands next to her as she sits on the bed. He's got a hand on her shoulder, and then he sits next to her. He wraps an arm around her. He says something to her. We can't hear it. It's distant, like an echo. She looks over.
Like the peanuts.
Yeah. That's definitely it. That's definitely the dramatic scene I was going for.
Yeah.
So she turns to him and she says something back. And as she does, we can see in her hand, like gripped real tightly, is some kind of letter. But it's dreamlike, you know? The letters on the paper are smudged and blurry. Can't see what they say. We can hear her, we can see though, as we kind of look at her, we can see she mouths to her father the words, I miss him. The evening passes. We're a little bit later now. She's lying in bed. It's dark. The candle by her bedside is out. Suddenly, with almost no transition at all, there was a man standing beside her bed. He's tall. And again, dreamlike. He's so tall. And all we can really see is his face. Pale as night.
Man I saw.
Wait,
Yes.
do everyone see this or just Kaylen? Just Kaylen, right?
This is being described to you essentially.
All
She's
right.
speaking these things aloud.
All right.
She's walking you through her own dream.
Okay.
Kaylen gets to see it directly though. The man he appears infinitely tall. His face is pale as moonlight. And he looks down at her, and his eyes, blood red, stare into hers, and they're like endless pools. She gets lost in them. We see her drowning now in an endless pool of blood. And then we pull back, and we can see she's limp in the arms of this man over her, and he whispers something into her ear, and then he slowly slides his mouth down to her neck, kisses her gently on the nape. Then he opens his mouth wide. We see the glittering. And as he bites down, light
not safe for
fills the
work.
room.
So lewd.
As the door bursts open, and standing on the other side is her father, who runs forward with a sword in his hand, raised above his head. He rushes towards the man, but the man reaches out a single arm, and the father freezes in place, and he looks terrified. Transfixed, he stares at his daughter and the stranger, and then the sword still held above his head, he shifts his grip on it, reversing the direction of the blade, and then his mouth struggling to form words, his arms shaking, slowly plunges the blade downwards into his own chest, slowly forcing it. We see him struggle with his rib cage for a moment before there is, she says, the sound of a crack, and then it slips through, and he impales himself and stays standing there for a moment, trying to form words still. Slowly blood starts to trickle out of his mouth, And then, like a puppet having its strings cut, he collapses, first to his knees, and then to the ground, dead. The man continues to bite Irina for a few minutes more, then pulls away. He wipes at the side of her neck, and the blood doesn't smear, just disappears. And then he picks her up, gently lays her back in the bed. He even goes so far as to tuck her in. And then again, without transition, he's gone. And now we pan back to the actual room where everyone has just heard all of this. And Kaylen, you've directly seen it stated as such. Irina herself has passed out from the intensity of the experience.
Balthazar will look towards the brother and say that, I'm afraid the devil Strahd has claimed your sister, marked her with some supernatural curse.
Would you say that Strahd penetrated her without her consent?
No, I will not say such words.
Yeah.
But DM, the whole thing was narrated to them, right?
Yes, from Irina's own mouth.
Right.
And Ismark is standing there horrified. He's completely fucking shocked.
I make the sign of the cross.
If anyone is looking at Fiona, she is crying right now.
Alright,
crying.
listen.
So from my critical success religion check, what did I find about the nature of this marking? Or about the nature of Strahd in general?
If he is indeed a vampire, as you now strongly suspect based on the evidence that you've seen here, one is extremely powerful. A lesser vampire, even the weakest of them, the Damien, is a terrible threat all on its own. A master vampire, which you can only suspect Strahd must be, a master vampire could take on an entire army of men on his lonesome, but he wouldn't need to, because he could just as easily turn that army against their former master. A vampire of any kind is a terrible threat, and one that is by an unimaginable amount outside the scope of what you personally think you can handle.
Yeah, I sort of laugh. Is like, hey, remember that time you said you wanted to raise an army? Imagine that.
The thing
someone with such magical power that they could command someone to stab themselves. Not even the enchanters that were in charge of the Ostmarki slave armies could do that.
Alright, look.
Well, I would say that maybe the Arch Alchemist, Lord Dumbledore, could take him down, but...
Oh my god. Are you fucking serious? Oh my god.
The Archmage Lord Dumbledore of Ostmark.
The Arch Alchemist, but he has become really reclusive as of late. Some have claimed that in his growing age has had him fascinated by the elusive alchemist, the elusive Philosopher's Stone.
Hey, now, I just want to clarify something real quick. The slave armies did not belong to the people of Ostmark. You are thinking of the grand slave armies of the Empire of Rum, which is, interestingly enough, much closer to you than Ostmark is right now. And also, it's definitely the place that our good friend Kaylen traveled through to get here.
Why is all the rum gone, though?
Yeah, man. So Kaylen's
it takes a lot of rum to fuel those slave armies, alright?
Yeah, man. Kaylen's gonna suggest to everyone not to tell her that she claims, and then he's going to hug a crying Fiona.
Fiona's gonna look up in shock. She's like, what? Why? What?
Does it look like she's turning into a vampire?
That's really hard to say. You strongly believe, based upon what you've read and what you know, that if this continues, almost certainly yes. But for right now, I mean, it's sort of a yes or no thing. You are either a vampire or you are not. There's no transition state. And she certainly looks like, she's being prepared to become one.
Well, I say, looking at Istmark, I've got a good idea as to what your request might be, but I think we should get on to that topic right now.
Yeah.
He
Listen,
looks at you. He looks at you, and he gulps and he says, severity, we never would have gone last time if we would have known. I had just thought it." He audibly gulped. We should have done our research. Those poor nothing. He's crying at this point.
I'm gonna suggest to Ismark that, look, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, buddy, but but you might want to keep some protection on you just in case something more happens to your sister, like in case I don't know about this vampire stuff or any of that, but in case she turns or something, you want to protect yourself, but at the same time keep an eye on your sister.
He looks up angry. How dare you? Irina would never turn.
I'm just.
She will if the.
Well, then we have to put a stop to it, he says in a very quiet voice. And you can see he's almost got like a defeated look on his face.
And Balthazar will lean in, and he will press his like alchemist goggles, cum glasses, to his face, and say, "But do you have the strength or the will to do so?"
Fiona's gonna
we tried.
stand up. She says, "Of course he does. We all do. We're gonna stop her from turning." Irina is still unconscious, right?
Yes. When you say that, Ismark looks at you genuinely surprised, and he's got like a weird look on his face.
Fiona's gonna struggle to get out from Kaylen's arm. Like, I'm sorry.
I'll let you out. Don't worry.
Fiona's gonna go over to Irina, who's still unconscious. Gonna hug Irina. Gonna say, "I'm so sorry."
And what's up with people in unconsensual physical contact with Irina? Come on, guys. Come on, guys.
Yeah, she's gonna say, I'm sorry. I'll protect you this time."
Ismark looks real confused, and he says, "That's the second time someone said this
time. Yes?
Yeah, you are spot on, Fiona. You have read between the lines. All right, so
wait,
I think
what did he say? What did Ismark say?
Ismark said when you stood up and made your first proclamation before you went over to hug Irina, he said, "That's so strange. You're the second person to have said that in that very spot." So we're gonna call the session to a close here because I'm at about the end of where I did my preliminary reading of this module, and I will have to read up a little more on the next section. But we're gonna call it a close with the party coming together, deciding that
and non-consensual
Strahd.
hugging of Irina. But it's a girl this time.
Yeah, a lot of. Yeah, that makes it okay.
Yeah,
that's
that definitely
that's
makes
law.
it a lot better. Mhm.
So, as always, comments, questions, criticism, concerns, happy to take them.
Yep. Ariga thanks.
Happy to
Yeah.
talk about anything you want to talk about. All right. Other than that, you guys are just, and I hope you enjoyed the session.
Right. Very a lot of fun.
Alright, cool. Cool.
Thank you. Okay,
Yep.
good night,
Yep.
guys.
See you later.
Yes, bye.